I did something I don't usually do and modified a ship on the workshop. So this was the original ship here. This was the modification by someone else. And then I took this modification and modified it even further, combining all the best parts from both of them while adding my signature extremely good functionality. So pretty much the entirety of internals was ripped out and replaced with this. I have a longer video on this, but this is going to be just a short overview. By the way, here it is painted in the original color, so you can compare better. But let's go over the features. The original turns out it's not really good for survival because the only thing powering all these hydrogen thrusters is a single O2H2 generator, so in survival it will not keep up. It's purely a creative decorative build. No power, no fuel, just decorative. And someone made it very shiny and modified it to be kinda usable in survival, so big tank. Some more upward thrust, still not enough in my opinion. But they removed the big connector, so you can't really connect it to stuff easily. You need a small connector adapter, and not many grids and stations have them. And here comes in my insane amount of modifications. So I started by taking the already modified version, painting it into my signature yellow, of course, and then just ripping out all the internals. And replacing them fully. I thought maybe we could even slap a turret on it, but I decided not to. And after replacing all the internals, I then just experimented a lot with armor for it to look good. There was a lot of experimentation. Tried out different things. From the top it looks very similar. I got rid of the nose because I think the nose just kinda breaks up the smooth shape of it. It just kinda looks like a beak of a duck. Plus the visibility from the cockpit was hampered by this armor edge. So I made the armor stop a little bit earlier, but the shape from the top is very similar. I also decided to paint it properly, mirroring, well, not mirroring, matching the scheme on the original, but just with my colors. Then I decided to add some more batteries to extend the range and also match the spaces occupied by the thrusters in the original. And after a few more modifications, we ended up with the results. In terms of functionality, it doesn't have a lot of thrust in side directions, but it has a lot of upward thrust and gyroscopic maneuverability. So the way you fly it is you accelerate upwards on it while rolling the ship around instead of flying forward. And it's a lot more practical that way, while also being a lot more fun in my opinion. So let's of course you can compare it for yourself, but the main thrust direction is up on the ships, not forward. Because you need to have it for maneuvers and fighting against gravity. If you have your main thrust direction forward, then your ship becomes your ship becomes not very useful. Because you can just accelerate forward and then you can't really do anything. Let's take the survival modification. Let's take the survival modification. By the way, it had a screwed up pivot point that was backwards. So pasting it made it go backwards. Also look where the pivot point is. So I fixed it also. If you place down a block and then cut or just copy and paste the grid onto the block, then the pivot point will be in that block. And I use projector. Block. as a block for it. Oh, yeah, also one big change. I actually added survival kit on top of it. Oh, that's pretty nice. Anyway, original. It goes forward, but then it can't really change directions very well. Even if we use atmospheric thrust on the bottom, it kind of just floats around. Also, the roll is very poor on this. So yeah, it's hard to maneuver. But this one, now if you're flying it wrong and just fly it slowly forward with the side thrust, of course it will feel slow to accelerate, but if you know how to fly it, then you're going to do something like this. And now that you're up to speed, look at this maneuverability. It flies like a fighter plane. Plus. Then you can also do some crazy maneuvers for evading shots by thrusting upward and rolling. So you can change your direction really easily. And then, while you can't accelerate or brake very quickly without moving around, you can easily accelerate or brake by just tilting your ship 90 degrees. Or maneuver 90 degrees. That side. Bam. Of course, you could also add some forward thrust to have the best of both worlds, but that will take away from the upward thrust by adding more mass and power consumption. Plus, the nice thing with having not that much forward thrust is that you can just hold it down and it won't drain all your fuel immediately. Oop. My mistake. And this can fly even with hydrogen thrust off in atmosphere easily. It has, let's see how much flight time it has. 2 hours in Pertam gravity of cruising around. Pretty good. It's pretty good. Also, for thrusters, I added an option to selectively disable the big hydrogen thrusters, so it's easier to dock, because in zero gravity, if you have a big thrust imbalance, then when you do maneuvers by thrusting up a little bit while docking, you just get sand flying. So it's nice to be able to disable them and just switch to smaller ones for maneuvering. Plus, with this one, you actually need to roll into the corners. Again, it feels like flying a plane. It's a lot more involved, and I find that to be more fun. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. It does look more chunky from the side than the previous ones, because there's a lot more components and the components I used are bigger, but from the top it looks very similar. And look, the cockpit view. Oh, it's nice and unobstructed, except by this one thruster in the front. Okay, I need to stop. I can just keep flying this forever. Oh, am I hitting myself? Wait, what? Am I hitting myself when I'm firing? That did not happen in my testing before. Hold up. That might need investigating. If I thrust upward and... Oh, there. It hit it again. So, why does it happen? Is it just random, or do I need to fly in this direction somehow? Maybe if I roll really quickly while shooting. Well, it doesn't seem to be happening very often, so we'll just ignore it. Alright, yeah, goodbye. Links in the description.